Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to the third installment in the cost of living series, where I compare the costs of everyday goods and services between New Zealand and another country. In this video I'll be comparing with Canada, which came as a request from Manny, who is a subscriber here on the channel. If you too would like to subscribe to see all my future content in the personal finance and investing space, please make sure to click that button down below. Without further ado, let's get into it. As always, do note that the prices I show from Canada are converted into New Zealand dollars. Also, in many cases Canada sells items in different quantities from what we're used to here in New Zealand. So in these situations, I've simply adjusted for this using the price per 100 grams, or 100 milliliters for example. Let's kick things off by looking at groceries. In New Zealand, I'll be using the discount retailer Pack and Save to compare, and from Canada I'll be using the largest Walmart in Toronto, Dufferin Mall. Starting with the price of chicken per kilogram, Pack and Save in New Zealand takes out the prize for the lowest prices, coming in about $2.50 cheaper. It's a similar story for lamb chops, with Pack and Save selling for about $10 cheaper per kilo. New Zealand is on a roll in the meat department, with streaky bacon also coming in slightly cheaper, by around 70 cents. However, when it comes to beef mince, Canada takes the prize, with prices nearly half. In my previous video, the UK also had significantly lower prices for beef. If you know why this could be, please let me know down below in the comments. All up, New Zealand seems to on average have cheaper meat, which hasn't been the case to date when we've looked at the likes of Australia and the United Kingdom. Moving on to frozen and canned vegetables, we'll be looking at peas, corn, tomatoes and red kidney beans. For a kilogram of frozen garden peas, New Zealand comes in slightly cheaper by 15 cents. If we now look at corn, Canada comes in cheaper by about 35 cents. When I took a look at tinned food, Walmart appears to sell much larger cans than we're used to here in New Zealand. Adjusting for the difference in weight, Canada sells cheaper tinned vegetables, with the tomatoes coming in about 10 cents cheaper and the red kidney beans by about the same. So Canada comes in slightly cheaper for frozen and tinned vegetables. Now we'll take a look at other household grocery items. 2 kilograms of long grain white rice is much cheaper in New Zealand by around $2. A tray of 12 eggs comes in about 90 cents cheaper. And a kilogram of Greek yogurt is cheaper here by about $1.80. A kilogram of chicken nuggets comes in around 40 cents cheaper in New Zealand. And a 380 gram packet of cornflakes is lower by about 90 cents. And as we've seen many times in these videos, here in New Zealand we pay the lowest price for butter, in this case by $3 for a half kilo. To top all of that off, a 12 pack of Coronas is about $4 lower here in New Zealand. So unlike some of our previous comparison videos, New Zealand actually has quite a few grocery items that are cheaper than our comparison country. Adding to those items, and quite surprisingly, is cheese. In Canadian Walmarts, the largest portion of cheese blocks they sell is 400 grams. And when we increase that to a kilogram portion, mild cheddar costs roughly double what we pay here in New Zealand. Even the mozzarella is cheaper here by $3 a kilo. Upon doing a bit more research, apparently Canada heavily influences the price of milk, which therefore has an impact on the price of the cheese. This causes the price of cheese in Canada to be up to 3 times the price of an equivalent product in the United States. But anyways, let's get back to the comparison. Areas they are cheaper than us include ice cream, with their 4-litre tubs cheaper by about $2. Their Coke, which for a 2.25 litre bottle is cheaper by 80 cents, and their olive oil, which for a litre is 50 cents lower. And to round it all off, their pesto is about $1 cheaper. So that rounds out the grocery comparison, and it seems New Zealand may be slightly cheaper on average. The next section we'll be comparing is fast food, and comparing the prices I have found on the respective countries' Uber app. In Canada, their Big Macs are a fair bit cheaper, by around $2 a burger, and for a hamburger, by about $1.20. So if you like McDonald's, Canada is the winner. The same goes for the likes of Subway, and although our prices beat Australia and the UK, Canada seem to have us beat here. A 6-inch meatball sub comes in around $3 cheaper over there, and the cookies by around 50 cents. But I couldn't stop there, and decided in this video to also include the Colonel, and luckily things swung back in our way. Zinger burgers in New Zealand are cheaper by around 60 cents, and weirdly, in Canada their 2-piece original recipe pricing was substantially different by around $5. A 20-piece hot wing box comes in around $5 lower in Canada, and unfortunately, due to the variance in the size of the sides, and different combo deals, had to leave the comparisons there, leaving Canada a clear winner in the fast food space. The next comparison is transport costs. In central Auckland near the Sky Tower, you'd currently pay around $2.74 per litre of fuel. On the other hand, if you're in Toronto near the CN Tower, which is like a taller version of the Sky Tower, you'd pay $2.04, which comes in 70 cents cheaper. Their prices are also lower for a brand new Mazda CX-5, coming in just over $2,000 cheaper. New Zealand scrapes in with a lower annual registration cost by $8. Looking at public transport, Auckland has a train network and Toronto operate a subway network. To travel a roughly similar distance of 10 kilometres, Auckland is slightly cheaper by 40 cents during normal times when it's not subsidised as it is now. So for private transport, Canada seems to have lower costs with their significantly cheaper fuel and cheaper cars, while for public transport, Auckland is cheaper. Next up is the price of housing. House prices are hugely variable throughout New Zealand and Canada, so I haven't bothered comparing average house prices here. But if we look at the mortgage rates for $1 million home, Canada's mortgage rates come in slightly cheaper than New Zealand, meaning they pay slightly less every week to service $1 million mortgage. Looking at the electricity prices in Ontario, where Toronto is located, they charge 60 cents less for a daily usage of 10 kilowatt hours. The main contributor here is their low variable rates, meaning the savings are greater across larger rates of usage. I also looked at the price of water and wastewater in Ontario, but couldn't find any fixed line fees or variable rates for wastewater. I figured this was all built into the one single cost there and have adjusted the Auckland figures to apportion to a monthly figure. This resulted in Toronto coming out $20 a month cheaper than Auckland for water and wastewater. Moving on to mobile and broadband plans, one of their biggest providers is Bell. Comparing equivalent mobile plans with around 10 gigabytes of data a month, New Zealand comes out better off by $6 a month. And finally, in the fibre broadband space, New Zealand again comes out better off by about $40 a month. And finally, we compare the price of a monthly Netflix subscription. In the end, the pricing is similar with Canada slightly cheaper for the basic plan, but New Zealand is cheaper for the premium one. And finally, to wrap out the comparisons, we have the price of large household goods. First up, we have the 75-inch Samsung Crystal TV. As you can see, the prices in Canada are substantially cheaper by about $1,000. I figure this may be due to the model being phased out overseas. However, in New Zealand, this is still the latest model. Canada is also cheaper for the Canon M50 Mark II camera by about $150, and for the iPhone 13 Pro by about $100. New Zealand comes out slightly cheaper for the Bose QC45 headphones by about $15, and the Google Nest doorbell by a couple dollars. However, Canada continues to be cheaper for Surface Pro laptops by about $100, and around $200 cheaper on the Dyson V8 Animal Vacuum. If we look at the GST rate between New Zealand and Canada, some of the variance is likely explained here. While in New Zealand the rate is 15%, in Canada it is just 5%. Meaning by default our prices will always be higher by roughly 10%. The minimum wage in Canada is also lower, meaning there are cheaper overheads for retailers to price into their products, with the wages in Ontario being $3 less per hour than in New Zealand. Another hidden cost is taxation, with Canadians paying both a state and federal tax rate, while in New Zealand we just pay a flat rate to the government. When considering an income of 100,000 New Zealand dollars a year, New Zealanders are taxed less than Canadians living in the state of Ontario. So there you have it. New Zealand has finally found another country in which its cost of living is generally comparable. While New Zealand appears to have slightly lower grocery and internet costs, Canada has lower prices for fuel, fast food, and large household goods. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to subscribe to my channel down below, and to also check out my other cost of living videos using the link at the top of the screen. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers.